Welcome to another episode of the Personal PR Show. And today we're here with our lovely Ed. Ed, I don't know, this is maybe the fourth time that you've been on the show. It's crazy. You're one of our favorite guests. Thank you so much for making it.
It is. I really appreciate it. It's an honor and a blessing and a privilege. So thank you very much. I always, kindness is my big thing, right? And I just love having the opportunity to be a part of what other people are doing. So.
That's amazing. Thank you. Thank you. And Ed, yeah. I mean, there are so many things that we can talk about with you because you do so many different things and a lot of them overlap also with personal PR, which is amazing. And today we chose a certain topic that, let's just read the title to everybody. So how to impact lives through podcasting. Right? Because you don't just do, all of your amazing videography and photography work and your kindness advocacy. Do you say advocacy? I think so in English, right?
Yes,
but also
correct. Yeah.
You have a podcast. I mean, I don't know how you managed to do so many things. And your podcast is, by the way, all about kindness, right?
Yes, and in an interesting way. What I love about when you brand something, right? Like if you're going to go see Top Gun, you don't know what that's about, right? If you go to see Lord of the Rings, you don't know what that's about, but it's a great brand. So kindness, right? It's called visible kindness, it's a great brand. So there's certain things I think that people are interested in or excited about. And obviously it's about kindness, but the underlying foundation and vision for it is interesting. It's not what people expect. And I know that I'm very excited for it this year.
Wow. So what's going to happen this year? Is anything shifting? Are you rebranding anything? What new guests? What is it going to be about?
Yeah, so I'm not going to rebrand it at all. So it's interesting because when I started Visible Kindness, when I started the podcast, I'm like anybody else. When you start a podcast, it's like, what the heck am I doing? How do you do all this? And you find out it's really a lot of work. I mean, you can do it simply, of course, and there's nothing wrong with that. I like high production, I like branding and good audio quality and production because it's what I do. And so for me, the show is based on really three elements of kindness. First of all, it's personal internal kindness, right? And we hear this a lot on social media. You need to be kind to yourself. It's so important, right? You're supposed to love your neighbor as yourself. And so that simple statement is very complicated because how do you love yourself as your neighbor? So however you're treating your neighbor should be a reflection of how much you really love yourself. And I think it's easy to, do something nice for your neighbor, but do you really love yourself that much? And if you did love yourself more, how different would your kindness be to your neighbor? Your neighbor being anybody outside your where you live, right? It could be where you live. It could be the barista. It could be someone on the street, anybody. And I have found in my life, because trauma survival is a big thing that I had to overcome. I had to learn to love myself because I didn't. And I found when I really began to love myself, and it's a non-ending process, that the way I treated people was totally different. I couldn't believe it. I really was surprised at how much kinder I was to people because I was kinder to myself. And so when you do that, there's an impact in your life and the people that you respond to, the people that you're related to, people that you bump into. So that's the first level of it. Then the second level of it is, love your neighbor as yourself. So internal kindness and then external kindness. External kindness is how you're treating other people. And, I watch often, especially in coffee shops, because I go to a lot of coffee shops, and many people are just on their way to work. They're looking at their phones for the schedule coming up, and they're just there to get their coffee, and there's no interaction with the barista. Now, it doesn't have to be an interaction, but something even minor, you can really change their day. Like when you say thank you and you sincerely mean it, and you look them in the eye and you say, well, thank you so much, and they can tell you're being sincere. They're like, well, you're welcome. Nobody else says it that way, and you just something little just made a big difference in other people's day. And then the second level of kindness is this. When we're kind to ourselves and we're kind to others like this genuinely, now we can make an impact in our local community. We can make an impact in our town, in our social media footprint in our state, in our province, in our country, in the world. And we all know now that it's gone from being kind to a barista, now we know if you look at the headlines enough, we know that kindness will change the culture on the planet. And so that's what I love about this podcast is it goes from this low-level personal thing that's so important. And the reality is you can make a major impact on the planet. And you may or may not know that you are making an impact, right? You can go ahead and try, and maybe you can, but we'll know on another side of heaven. I believe we'll see all the people and places that we had an impact in. So I think, recently I went to San Diego to help somebody with a major disease, and so that's a part of what my core motivation is. And I absolutely know that it's having a ripple effect on many, many levels. And so what I'm doing in my business outside of visible kindness with videography and photography and teaching video marketing, all of that comes from the foundation of what my podcast is all about. I want to be kind to myself, kind to others, and I want to make a difference in the world. And isn't that what we all want to do in our own space with our own gifts and our own talents?
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my God, I love this answer. I really love the this double dimension of first being kind to ourselves and then to the others as well. And in order to be kind to the others, we need to be kind to ourselves first. Absolutely. Oh my God, I love this. And this, we can really tell that this is something that you embody, and this is really your mission. This is really what you want to bring into the world, not just a lot of kindness that you want to give to people, but you really also want to teach people how to be more kind. And this is probably one of the reasons why you started your podcast, Visible Kindness, right? What is the mission of the podcast?
So the mission of the podcast is, I have ADHD, so I always can't remember even my own mission statement, but it's like this. The mission is, or the vision, the statement is, the compassion you give to yourself reflects the kindness you give to yourself reflects compassion given to others. And I thought, oh, I love that. That is really great. And so I thought, oh, I need to search to find out, is anybody using that? And there is. But it's Nelson Mandela that started that. So I'm like, even though I put my name under it, Nelson Mandela did that. And look at what he did. Kindness to yourself is a reflection of compassion you give to others. And so that's really the mission. So so what happens is I get, I love having what I call A-list social media people or celebrities or something like that. But I also love having my next door neighbor or the pizza delivery guy, or it doesn't matter who you are, right? I'm not there to impress you with the people I have on my show as far as their level of influence. My goal is to impress you with the kindness that they have gone through in their lives to get them from where they were to where they are now. And it can be anybody, right? So that's, and then of course, I don't know if you've seen my COVID birthday clip that I made. And so that isn't a podcast, but it's all around the same mission and vision is to be kind to others. And it can be on so many different levels. And of course, the whole California, San Diego thing was just a major impact and a big thing. And I don't care. I just want to have conversations with people like I am with you right now. This could be a podcast, or it could be about an act of kindness, period, that you were involved in, or like my COVID birthday thing or something. So it turned out to be a wonderful, interesting, I don't know what the word is to look for, but show, right? That encompasses all these different kind of topics under the same umbrella of the emotional, psychological part of kindness, and then the actual doing it, right? And so I'm going to, in the days to come, I'm going to be doing a lot more filming of acts of kindness that I experience myself, that I give, or that I see randomly. And so there's a lot of things to come. I'd love to do a documentary eventually about it, where I'm traveling around and literally asking people about kindness and what do they think about it, filming that, and then putting it together in a documentary. That's future. It's not 2023, but it's just something we need in our culture, Jessica. We need it so much personally, and we need it so much in our lives, and we need it so much in our politics and our economy and our culture. It's just so needed.
Oh my God, don't get me started on that. Absolutely. Wow. And I see, you know, that a lot of people are about impact these days. They want to have impact, theoretically positive impact in the world and make a contribution and so on. And then they're really studying as to what they can do and how they can achieve it and so on. And they want to change the world and so on. And it's great. And we know we need people like that. But I don't think that everybody can change the world, right? So we underestimate actually the impact that we can make through simple acts of kindness, right? Like you can already make impact.
Yes, if you think of, there's a book I like to give to my guests. I haven't done it regularly. I need to do it more, but it's called The Butterfly Effect. I don't know if you've ever read it. It's a short, simple book, right? With big pictures and short statements. And it talks about people like George Washington, other people, where the impact they had in the world that they never knew in their lives, that took place over decades and made a difference in the world. And you know, they call it the butterfly effect, because butterflies, I don't know if I'm going to get this right or not, but they have an effect globally with when they flap their little wings, right? And same as when you drop something in the ocean, that the mass of the weight creates a ripple effect, and it actually does affect the entire ocean, and you're not aware of it. But I think when we are aware of these things, for me, it makes me more just aware and mindful that when I'm out there, it's so easy, because I don't know if you know what my Christmas has been like, but it's been the worst Christmas of my life. It has been horrible. And it has been for many people, right? When I came back from San Diego, I ended up getting the flu, and I'm still overcoming that. And then the temperature got bad here, and it blew up over 20 apartments. It blew up their water pipes, 20 apartments. And it was incredible. And there's a number of things. And this happens in our lives sometimes. Things go wrong. And so we have to choose to not lose our minds, so to speak, right? And have a bad attitude. And so all of that has, totally forget why I was saying that. Yeah. So, I mean, when the workers came over here to assess and to work and to look at these things, you know, I think an older version of me would have been upset. Like, you know, like, for example, do you guys have to wear your work boots up and down my stairs and on my hardwood floors and on my carpet? You know, do you have to do that? And I used to be that way. And now I'm not. It's like, these guys are working hard. It's like, you know, like 30 degrees below 0 Celsius, 17 degrees below 0 Fahrenheit. And they are working hard. And so now, you know, come in, do all the things. It doesn't even bother me. I can clean my carpet and my floors. And it would be so hard for them to have to, you know, do that every single house they went in. So it's changed me as a person over time. So yeah.
Oh my God. And this was an act of kindness as well, right?
Yeah. Like, well, they came in and they're like, they saw my studio here and they're like, what do you do? You know, because this is but everything's a studio. And so I had an opportunity to tell them, right? Mm-hmm. Everything I do is all about kindness, I said. And it was wonderful, you know, and I know, you know, life has become, moment by moment, very important to me, more so now than ever has before, regardless of the heaviness that you may be facing. Mm-hmm. And take advantage of the times when you don't have that heaviness. When I think of Jessica, my friend in San Diego with ALS, I've never been in the company of someone who has a disease where there is no cure, there's no treatments, and she's a mother of 2 twin 16-year-old boys, an 8-year-old boy, and a husband. And the reality is, you're gonna die. Now we're praying that God's gonna do something, right? Mm-hmm.
Yes.
But you just don't know. And so to spend time with someone, to interview her close friends and family, it really changed my life. It just impacted me in a way that I wasn't expecting. And Jessica said to me the first time I left and headed back to Denver, she said, what did she say? Something about, yeah, looking forward to seeing you come back for the fundraiser event, which was a few weeks later. And I said, Jessica, you know what? I said, I may not be back. And she said, why? And I said, Jessica, I may not make it to the airport. Who knows when your last day is? You have a deadly disease that is going to shorten your life, and quickly. You may last longer than I will. We don't know this. We don't know this. We need to be more in the moment of taking advantage of and thinking and being aware of every day, every moment, every breath that we have. And especially when, like, my Christmas time was horrible. I couldn't go home to see my family. I got sick, things exploded, and it was just rough. But I still was mindful that, you know what, I still have this day, and she was, it really hit her too, It was quite the life-changing experience to be intimately involved with someone who asked me to do a documentary of her life, which means, I asked her in the very beginning, are you okay with me asking you anything?
Yeah.
Not that I'll produce anything, but I need to be able to ask you anything. And whatever gets produced, we'll work together on that. And if you're not comfortable with things you say, I won't put them up there. But I want you to be comfortable enough, and me, so I can ask you anything about life, death, how you're feeling. And it's so hard. And she was open to that. And so I went through that in October, November, and part of December, and it was wonderful. It really caused me to think more about how important life is.
Yeah.
And so that's going to affect my podcast.
Yes, exactly. Yes, we'll have time to talk about the podcast as well, but maybe we can talk about this documentary, this amazing documentary, for a second. So I think it's clear to everybody that you made a huge act of kindness, right? In that you went to San Diego, spent time with Jessica and so on, and now you will produce the documentary as well. So your kindness is pretty clear in this context. But don't you think also that it was very kind of Jessica's as well to actually share all of this, and that this kindness that she had in sharing will actually make an impact in the world as well? I'm sure that she will help a lot of people, right?
Well, it's interesting, because when I saw her in the beginning of October, I just saw Facebook Live. I didn't know her, right? Did not know her. I saw her Facebook Live, and she is a youth pastor at her church, which is another, just amazing thing.
Yeah.
And she says, my name's Jessica. I don't do Facebook Lives very often, but I really need help. And she needed money because it cost $60,000 for one treatment of stem cells. And that's one way you can treat ALS. There's other ways and whatnot, but that's the route that she took. Mm-hmm. And so she said, if you're able to help, I would really appreciate it. Thank you very much. So I just sent her a voice message, which I love to do. Instead of texting somebody, I love to do like a Facebook voice. I sent her a friend request, sent her a voicemail, and I said, hi, Jessica. I said, I don't really have the kind of money that you really need to make a big difference. I mean, I can donate, some money to your GoFundMe. I said, but I'm a video producer, and I said I have a podcast, and these things I can do to get the word out more, and I have a lot of connections. Is that something that would help you? Well, she started looking at a lot of the content that I put out there, and she's like, "Oh my gosh!" She goes, "You make such great videos and whatnot." And she said, I would love it. She says, as a matter of fact, she says, what I really want to do, now listen to this, Jessica. She said, what I really want to do is I want to raise awareness in the country for other people that have ALS, what the situation is with the pharmaceutical companies and the government and insurance companies about why they're not doing anything to help this disease. They're doing some things, but it's not enough. I would love to make an impact. And I'm like, really? Wow. Sounds good. And she said, well, when could you be here? And I'm like, just, can you come right away? And so literally right after I met her on Facebook Live and gave her that call, 2 days later, I was in San Diego.
Oh my God.
And And then within 6 days, I filmed almost every day and produced that 1-minute video that brought in $10,000 in the first day, $20,000 on the second day, and $60,000 in 59 days. And the amazing thing about that is I feel like I'm a background person. I'm not in the scene. I'm just trying to help her create that story, right? That's going to attract people and her message. And she wants to use her as the attraction, like to get people's attention, but then use that as like the door to be able to talk about what is happening in the industry. I'm like, you're an amazing person. This is absolutely amazing. And so when I went to the fundraiser on December 8th, I was very grateful to be one of the keynote speakers at the end of the event, because I made another video that was 5 minutes long that it was just so powerful. And I was able to say that this is day 59 since I met Jessica. And in 59 days, I've been able to raise $60,000. And I'm not here to tell you that that's great. I'm here to tell you that it's not enough. We need more tonight. It was so great. And so it was a very powerful and successful event. And she's going to be on the podcast too, by the way.
So when is she going to be on a podcast? When can we? And by the way, everything that you are mentioning, if it's public, how do you say? If it's oh my God, I don't know the word. If public domain, so it's open to the public. Could you please then include the links in the comment section of this live? That'd be amazing. Thank you. So people that watch us here will be able to just go and watch like the video, for example, the 5-minute video that you just mentioned, and maybe other assets as well. That'd be amazing. Thank you.
Would love to. Yeah. I would love to, because it'll if you listen to this conversation we're having and then you see these videos, it'll have even a greater impact on you, because you see the behind the scenes part of it. And it was you know, life happens to us when we really give up our you know, in a sense, our goals to make money. Like, we all need to make money. I get that. I need to make money. We need to make money. But I love what you said to me just a few minutes ago. You know, it's the foundation. It wasn't, you didn't say foundation, but everything I do is about kindness. I never planned on that, right? I didn't plan on it. I used to be a corporate person, and kindness was not, I wasn't known for kindness. I was known for making money. And you know, I've made a lot of money, and I've spent all of it because of my lack of kindness to myself and others. It was a horrible lifestyle that I lived at the time. And so now when I keep going through these opportunities to be able to help somebody, and by the way, there was no, hey, Jessica, you know, I need money, or I'm going to have to charge something. Not at all. Right. And it's just made such a big difference in my life to now have multiple streams of income and different types of things that I'm doing, that at the end of the day, the basis of what I'm doing is for kindness. Because I thought, how the heck am I going to make money on kindness? That's not what you're going to do. You know, and you don't make money on a podcast either. You know, it's like, what do you do? Everything I'm doing is free. Like, what am I going to do? And you don't have to worry. You don't have to, I've heard this all my life. You don't have to worry about the money you make. You need to figure out what is your passion. And that's a tough conversation in itself, like to follow your passion, because, you know, you may have a passion that doesn't produce income, or does it? I think it can. I don't think it necessarily will be easy. I think there's a lot of maybe artists that are, you know, I know people that are just great artists when it comes to whether it's music or drawing or painting or whatever they create, their sculpture or anything. They don't have business acumen. They don't have the business experience that you need to make money. But life will find a way. Life will find a way if you really commit to what you love.
Yeah, definitely. Wow. So we talked about how you made an impact, a huge impact, very tangible impact through this documentary. And how about the impact that you make through your podcast? And is that something that our lovely audience should keep in mind in order to make an impact with their podcast as well? Because, I mean, you're making an impact in the kindness arena, but maybe, you know, other people will have other topics on their podcast. So how can we actually make an impact? How can we help people? How can we maybe start a movement? I know that I'm throwing a lot of things at you. Just pick what you wish and feel free to riff on it.
Well, the kindness movement in general is absolutely huge. So I follow a lot of YouTube channels and other influencers who are wildly successful. I mean, they have millions of people following them, that where kindness is the basis of what they're doing. And actually, one gentleman who I was on his podcast, I told him of this amazing woman that I was following in New York, and he said, "Well, I know her." He said, "I'll connect with her and tell her that you guys should get together." I'm like, "Yeah, it sounds great," because I'm just little right now, right? I have a wonderful idea, and the podcast has been good, but I know that it's going to explode this year when I really put the work into it. But it has to do with the interesting thing is if you're a trauma survivor, for example. I've had a lot of trauma survivors. I've had like Army and veterans, war veterans that have been on my podcast. I've had entertainers that are like Vegas, like Las Vegas style and hugely talented people that you would see and think that they're perfect. But this one gentleman I had come on my show, he said, "Well," he says, "do you mind if I tell you something I've never told anybody before?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I would love that." And he talked about dealing with depression and suffering from depression that nobody knows about. He's never talked about publicly before. And it was such a powerful episode. So it could be anybody from anything, anywhere, where kindness towards yourself or kindness towards others, or just kindness, if your job, if you changed your, maybe not change, but even if you're the type of person that is trying to make a positive difference in your business or with whatever you do, this is the great thing about how this has developed, is it can be many different types of people. It's not just, did you do an act of kindness? It's not about acts of kindness, right? It's about a deeper, more powerful mission that I'm looking for. And so I love to have conversations with people that get this, right? And so I don't care who you are, but if you are drawn to this kind of a conversation, whether it's the acts of kindness for sure, or whether it's the deeper levels of this that we really need in our society, and you have some kind of an impact, you have some kind of an influence, or you're involved, I would love to hear from you.
Yeah, no, definitely. Oh my God. And I'm sure that you have already heard from a lot of listeners of yours that reach out to you and say, "Oh my God, this interview, for example, was so inspiring. Maybe it even inspired me to do something that, produce impact on other people." And it's like a ripple effect, right? That all starts in your podcast, right? It's amazing. Yes.
Yes. I've been so fortunate because when I first got into this, I found that many podcasters, they have to work hard to make sure they have enough guests on their show, right? And I'm like, I have so many people that are asking to be on the show. I've never had to, I'm not like, wow, I'm running out of guests. It's like, there's always people that want to be on the show. So it's been a real wonderful thing because it's such a needed thing. And the branding just turned out great too. The visible kindness and the labeling and the branding, because I'm all about marketing and branding and these kinds of things. I look at it and go, oh man, this is so great, visible kindness. And so, yeah, I would love to hear from anybody that's interested. And the show has been on a pause for the last year because I've been putting together this online course that teaches people how to do video marketing. But in the first quarter of this year, it's going to be back, and it's not going to take a pause ever again. It's going to take off. And when I look at the year and a half or 2 years that I did it with, it's not a huge amount of episodes. And I don't mind, I'm not like a Mr. Successful podcaster. Depends on how you define success in podcasting. Is definitely success in making an impact in people's lives. And I know that when I put this into full gear, it's going to be exciting because I know it's going to grow, and it's going to be something that really makes a difference. And that's what we all want, right? We want to be doing something that makes a difference and that we're making some money out of it as well. So, yeah.
Exactly. No, that's perfect. Impact and income. This is what I talk about all the time. It's something that we can reach with personal PR, with thought leadership. Like, we are creating impact, income for ourselves, but at the same time, we actually creating impact because we are, disseminating, we're spreading these breakthrough ideas that can really make an impact on the world, a positive one. Absolutely. Oh my God, I love this. And what would you say? Let's see, in terms of impact, how we can impact people through a podcast. We've talked about your podcast. And what would you recommend to people that want to start a podcast, but are not sure how to make an impact? Do you think maybe, picking the right topic is already impactful? Having, maybe, I don't know, really curating their guests is important. Maybe having different pillars to their content. What would you say? Maybe look from the perspective also of your video marketing course. What would you say can really make a difference? It can really make a podcast successful, and the definition of success is impact.
Yes. So what's important, first of all, is I like high production, and it doesn't need high production, right? I love my audio. I love the branding. I love all this stuff. It's not necessary. It's not. And I teach my students, because some of the students are like, well, I can't do what you do. And I'm like, in the 5-minute video that I'll share the link to, that I showed at the fundraiser, 25% was with my phone, 75% was with professional equipment. But on the 1-minute video, 90% was done with my phone, and 10% was done with my drone at the very end, where I just showed Jessica on the beach, and which didn't even need to be there, right? It was nice. But you don't need things fancy. You don't need, like, I have high-end mixers and sound equipment. You don't need that, but this is what I do for a living. All you need literally is just your phone, and you can use Anchor, which is a very powerful, easy to use platform. So you don't have to worry about when you see something fancy. It does not have to be fancy. What people want, and this is what you're so great at. What people want is something that they're attracted to, right? Something that grabs their attention. I have friends that have podcasts, and I forget the name of his podcast, but he does everything through Anchor. Does everything. He'll be walking down the street or driving, and an idea for a podcast will come up, and he just starts recording it, publishes it, done. And it's incredible, right? So it doesn't need to be. But what's important more than anything is, number one, is it needs to be, the reason why you're doing it is the most important thing. And I think it's really important that we choose something that we are good at and that we love.
Yeah.
And don't do it because you want to be popular, or you want to draw people, or it's like, what if all you ever had, like for me, my podcast is not huge yet. It's just little, but I love the episodes that I've done. I love the people that have been on as guests. I love the impact that it's made on the lives of people that have connected back with me. And that's what you have to focus on. So you have to take the time to sit back and go, okay, what is it that I'm doing? And how can making a podcast not only support and contribute to other streams of income that I'm using, because you want to, and you can do things that are different, but I think what I've noticed is people that are where I want to be, they blend their core motivation into all the things that they're doing. And I think that's important. And don't worry so much about money. We need to. I get that. But think about, what is your strengths and what do you have to offer? What is it that you say to people in your everyday life that makes a difference to them? It doesn't have to be on kindness or something that's mental health related, or it could be in anything. One of my best friends, was talking to him this morning. He's been inviting me to be on his podcast for a long time, and I'm like, no, and I'm not ready yet. And I wanted to wait until I had my online course off the ground and I get some stuff behind me. But what he does is he teaches people how to set up, like what I've got, in-home studios. Well, that's not kindness or mental health related or anything to do with our culture, right? But you know how many people are online now and try and are at a place where they may have a budget, because to deal with him, it's not cheap. but but he has a market, right? There is a target market of people that are like, if I could just find one place to just know what I need to do to set up my studio, that's what I would need. And that's what he does. And he has huge social media influencers come on his show. Like, it blows my mind who has come on, but he started small, and he's not like a heart level kind of influencer like I am. He's a business guy. He's got a great heart. Don't get me wrong. He's got a great heart, but it's different. So my point is, it doesn't have to be like what I'm doing. It's whatever you're doing. It can be very, very different. But what is it that you do? What is it that you love?
Yeah, absolutely. Wow. Oh my God, I love this, Ed. And oh, wow, there's so much to unpack here. It's so clear. And at the same time, there are so many different inputs that I have another 130 questions in mind to ask you.
You need to be on my podcast, Jessica. It would be wonderful. Would you? Would love to do that.
Of course, I'd love that. Yes.
For sure.
Oh my God, thank you so much. Yeah, to talk about kindness. And let's see if we can find any angle for personal PR. Maybe there is, kindness.
I totally see it. Oh, I totally see it. Absolutely. Yeah. Because that's what you're doing. What you're doing is you are making a difference in people's lives. And you have such a great mixture of people in your group, right? At every level in business, right? And that's what's really cool about what you're doing. So yeah, I think it would be a great episode because you care about everybody at every level, and you have incredible experience at what you're doing. So yeah, it'd be wonderful. And then the group will grow more too.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. Yeah. So we will cross-pollinate both groups. Thank you so much for this opportunity, Ed. And as a matter of fact, usually when I talk about, the positive results that you can achieve through personal PR and visibility and credibility, I don't just talk about income, you're raising your fees, getting new clients and so on. I don't just talk about that. I talk about impact a lot. And I really insist on the concept of the breakthrough idea that really can make an impact, a positive impact in the world, right? So I really want to promote people that really have this breakthrough idea that can really make a positive impact in the world. Otherwise, if it's about just income and profit and so on, I'm not interested in working with these people. So it's my way, so to say, of actually expressing kindness through my business. Definitely.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And that's why I joined. I'm very careful with the groups that I'm in. I'm not in a lot of groups, and I don't care how big they are either. What I care is, are they making an impact, and who's the leader? And so it's been a real joy to be a part of your group. And you know what else is interesting too, is that it's okay for some people. There's a demographic where people are trying to make money, and they're trying to figure out, how do I make money? Because we need to make money, and making the impact isn't there yet, but eventually it will be. It will be, right? And then you'll find out what. Your career will shift as you go until you find your groove, right? And then then you're off to the races. Because if I look back, when I started being online around 2016, it was way different than now. It was just because I was dealing with personal things. I need to make money, and it was like, but that's okay. And so there's groups and podcasts that would definitely not have me on their show or in their group at that time. And that's okay. When you keep going and overcome, right, the challenges that you're having until you get to a place where, for me now, to be on your show here, it's very, it's like it's an honor and a pleasure. But I know that I have, I'm here not to grow myself, right? That all becomes like a sideline. It all becomes, the natural results of what you're doing. But the focus is, how can I contribute to this conversation that we're having in your group? Not, hey, if you want to get involved in my whatever, blah 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 this and blah 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 that. You don't need to do that, right? People will connect with you on their own, and you should have your own marketing funnel anyway that you're relying on, not using other people's groups. Right? That's just the way you should be doing it.
But you, and in general, people can have such let's say, a magnetic presence, and it's definitely your case, that we're just talking about podcasting today and how to make an impact through podcasting. But people have already learned to love you over the past, let me see, 42 minutes. And certainly they will go, because everything is connected, like here on Facebook, right? So they will be able to just click on your name and see your profile, and they will be able to follow you and see what you're up to and so on. It's so easy. Today, we don't need, like these days, we don't need to pitch that hard anyway. Like you can create even actually more impact and more magnetism in that you're just taking things easy and you're not, focused on any particular outcome in that the conversation. You're so right. And Ed, another thing that I loved that you said, now I need to focus because I kind of forgot it. Oh no. Yes. You identify a segment of the market, which I identified as well last year, which is a segment in which, especially business owners, they're just starting out and they're like, okay, let me secure the money first, and then I will focus on impact, right? And I see this very often. And I was like, I need to find a solution for this, let's say, for this community, for this group, for this segment of the market.
Yes.
And I was like, actually, this is something that you can do with, thought leadership, because you can create thought leadership and you can monetize it. But while you're creating and actually also monetizing your thought leadership, you are already making an impact in the world, right? Because you are sharing your breakthrough idea. And of course, we're very, very selective as to which breakthrough idea we choose and how we codify it and how we spread it into the world. Of course, I mean, we are very strategic about that. But so it's not something that you're just like, okay, I have a breakthrough idea, let me spread it into the world. It's not as easy. Like something like some work, strategic work needs to be in place. But if you do it right, you can already have impact straight away, pretty straight away.
Yes.
Like, right in that, and you are creating income at the same time. You're building your business as well. And this is something that I was like, oh my God, it's not that I'm going to save the world, I'm going to save this segment. But I was like, when I realized this, I thought, wow, this is really something that I'd love to share with more people, because I think there are so many people, Ed, like you said, are just frustrated at the moment because they're like, I have to create impact, but right now I have to take care of, my, let's say, my survival. So to say, I need to be able to pay rent and pay the bills and so on, right?
That's
Maybe
right.
they stay in limbo for years, right? Exactly.
Yes.
So thank you for bringing this up, because it's definitely a segment of the market that I have identified as well.
Yes. You bring up something very interesting. I'm going to share this with you. And it's not to promote what I'm doing. It's a very interesting part of the journey, is that, I need to make money. So the idea came up, well, why don't you, because I have strong experience with Fortune 500 company and global companies in consulting with them at a high level, meaning with CEOs, CIOs, vice presidents, and all this stuff. And I learned the mentality. I learned the skills on how to consult with them. How am I going to, no, I don't want to do that anymore because that burned me out. But I was like, how can I use that in my new ventures? Because you have to think of the skill sets that you have. And even if you don't I don't like being a consultant, but I do know that the skills that I gained were very important. They can be used. How could I use that now? So I came up with the idea of, well, I love video marketing. I love videos. I love all that stuff. So why don't I teach people how to, build and market their business with strategy and use videos as the main vehicle to promote, because it's the number one medium that's out there. That's great. But then I thought, that's good to make money. And then I found out what was really weird. And this is what I think, when we pursue our passions, things happen. What happened was, the first group of people that signed up for the course were all women. Did I tell you this?
Oh, that's so cool.
So they were all women. And I was like, at first I thought, is there something wrong with me? That's what I thought. Why are men not getting in this, right? And then the group doubled, all women again. And I'm like, wow. So I have two mentors that are wildly successful, right? And my first mentor, I said, I'm getting nothing but women. I'm not against that, but I'm like, what is happening? And then my first mentor said, Ed, if you have nothing but women, he says, I'm going to tell you right now, women are way easier to teach than men. They just are. They don't have egos. And they love to be in a community with just women. And if there's no men involved, he said, I think, it's a great opportunity that you have. And I thought, Okay. And then I talked to my other mentor, and he's very metric oriented in the industries, right? So I said the same thing to him. He said, well, I'll tell you what, Ed, here's what's happening in the industry now because of COVID, because of the economy, because of the job situation. There's many single women that now need to be at home with their kids to either teach them or they can't afford this, and the lifestyle has changed. And so they're looking at how can they use their skills to start their own business and not have a regular job to go to. They can do it from home. He said, there's when you compare the number of women doing that compared to the number of men, there's much more women. I'm like, really? He said, if I were you, I would just run a test marketing campaign and just market to women only and see how it goes. And so now what I'm doing is, you won't see it yet when you go to my Facebook page because it's in the pre-launch stage. So I'm going to do a new marketing campaign where I market this to women only and see what happens. And then when I think about it, I did some research and I'm like, there is no male teaching only women how to do strategic video marketing in their business. I'm like, I never would have come up with this idea, never. And I care, right? I care. I don't have an ego. And, I have, I don't know why, but, I have feminine traits to my personality. You may not feel that, but I do. Like that's just part of my personality, right? We all have male and female strengths and weaknesses in our lives. And for me, for some reason, it's female. So I really connect with women. And so that's what I'm going to do. And the women that are already in my class, they're like, oh my gosh, this is a great idea, right? No, man, awesome. And so my point is, your path will develop, right? If you just start. I thought I need to make money, which is what we're talking about. I need to make money. Why don't I use my old skills as a strategic person, as a consultant, with my passion of video marketing? Why don't I do that? Just that can be a main income stream for me. And then that just developed into this female community idea. And I'm like, life is great, And so, at one point I was like, well, what if that's not going to work? Because we think about this. What if this isn't going to work? What if it's only, well, you know what? I'm thinking it could actually be way more successful than if I have men and women. I mean, this thing could really go crazy. And so this is that. So it comes out of kindness again. How can I serve these women who are really struggling to make something happen? And I can help them do it. I know I can. And so, and I care. So that's where this has gone. So I'm really excited about this year. I have to tell you, I'm really excited about it. And it's going to be great.
Oh my God, let us know when you launch the course. We can also talk about the course for only women here in this group. What do you think? When are you going to launch it?
Can you imagine the marketing? It's going to be wild, right? When I make these little marketing videos, right? And the course is called Make Videos That Sell Stuff, right? And for women only. And I'm imagining in my mind what the video marketing campaign is going to look like. And if you're wondering why I do this for women only, come to my free masterclass. If you're a female, if you're a woman, if you'd like to find out why I do this for women only, I'd love to share with you, love to help you. And what's also, I won't go on about this, but what was also interesting is over Christmas, I began to look into my metrics in all of my platforms. And I found between at the lowest level, 65%, on the highest level, 85 to 90% of people that were following me and commenting and doing click-through rates are women. So why that is, I don't know. But from a business standpoint, if that's the audience you're attracting, then go for it. Right? Go for it.
Absolutely. Yes, because this is something that I talk about very often. There are so many people that talk about authenticity and, your real purpose and being aligned and so on. And then on the other side, there are the bro marketers who are all about the numbers. And I think that we shouldn't go for any of these extreme positions. We should find something that is still aligned with us, of course, we can really identify with, and we're proud to present to the world. But at the same time, that should be backed by the analytics as well, right? Exactly. Yeah. So you're doing it perfectly.
And at the same time, don't try and be like somebody else. Because I researched, I look at other people that are teaching video marketing. I'm not them. You can get, there's nothing wrong with getting ideas, right, for what you're doing, but don't try and be somebody else.
Yeah.
Because everybody I look at that's wildly successful, I'm like, oh, like this lady in New York, it's like, oh my gosh, she's amazing. I need to be like that. And then I look over here, I'm like, oh, I love what these guys are doing. I need to be like that. And the answer is no, you don't. No, you don't. Take some marketing strategies that are working for them that you can adopt into what you're doing and be yourself. And so now I'm like, make videos that sell stuff. I mean, it's just a great branding name. It's not for everybody. And that's the thing too. I don't care if you don't like that brand. I'm looking for people to go make videos that sell stuff for women only. Click. Right. And that's what this is all about. So, and then you end up enjoying yourself because you're being you. You're not trying to be like people that you've done research on. I think that's a problem for a lot of people. They're trying to be something that they're not. And you need to do this kind of go on this journey, right? And figure it out. And you're so good at that, helping people do that.
No, thank you. But I mean, I'm learning from you, and our audience is learning from you as well. So please feel free, because like these are all golden nuggets. Absolutely. And one of the things that I think that attracts a lot of women, as you said, of course, it's all of these, let's say, trends in society, which, of course, after COVID, after the pandemic, and with the Great Resignation, a lot of women are trying to stay home. Maybe they're leaving their corporate jobs in order to be able to stay home with their kids and so on. And this is societal trend, certainly plays a role, but maybe it's something that is really connected to your personal brand as well, because your personal brand is all about kindness, and probably women resonate with kindness more than men. What do you think? Like, this is another kind of impact that your podcast is actually creating, right? It's creating impact on your business as well, on the other business, which is about video marketing.
Yeah.
Do you think it would be the case? It's a case, maybe?
You know, I never thought of that. I never thought of that because I think the way women are, they're whether you have a child or not, and I'm a grown-up man. I never had children. I would have loved to, but I don't. But women are born to be mothers, whether you have children or not. You have that motherly instinct, right? Which is kindness, and that has to be there to be a mother. Then men have to be like, oh God, right, I need to be a kind dad. Right. What does that look like? And so men, it's different. It's different. Men typically would be like, well, let me look at this course. How am I going to make money? Women will look at it and go, well, this guy really cares, you know, which is a very different response that I'm looking for. Right. I mean, I can make marketing campaigns where I can teach you how to make videos. I know all what I'm talking about. And men will look at it and go, oh, I'll attend the master class. And they did. I had a lot of men attending my master class. No one signed up, all women. Right. Okay. And that's because you're right. I think women have a different psyche, right? A different type of personality makeup. And because of, I really believe for me, it comes from my trauma, right? I just have had to forgive men that abused me when I was young. That's what it was. And then I've learned this internal healing of my heart, my soul, my mind. And not a lot of men do that. They don't, because we are focused on, we got to provide, we got to make money, you need to be successful. And I'll think about myself. Yeah, kind of myself. Generally, not all men, but in general, I think that's what really, that's something that makes a difference. And then when I look at what I've done with Jessica, is helping a woman. Now, I met her husband. Her husband and I have become great friends, right? And he's a man's man. This guy's a man's man. I mean, holy cow, big time. And we've become just really great friends. But everybody I've interviewed so far for the documentary, and you'll see it on the 5-minute video, are women. And not a single man have I interviewed yet, except for her husband. And so I think that documentary and just pieces of that as it goes on, because it's going to take well over a year to produce that thing. It's not going to be like done, because I want to follow her over time, right? Like what's the story? Like where are we ending up? So I'm going to be in California a bunch of times, but the reality is it's me working with all these women. And then because I'm the filmmaker, I'm just thinking this in my head now. There's a lot of filming that I have will not be in the documentary, but for behind the scenes to teach my students. Here's what I did to get the people that are being interviewed, to get them comfortable when they're sitting under these lights and they have all these cameras. How do you make them feel comfortable? And so they'll see the kindness in my heart when I'm talking to them with parts that are taken out of the documentary of me, because I'm not in the documentary. But when you see me helping them, it's going to contribute to my course material, which I never thought of. Back to what we were saying before. Don't worry about the money-making part, right? Worry about your impact and what you're trying to do. And I'm sitting here going, even now going, wow, this would be great material for my women, right? And to help them. So anyway.
Yes. Oh my God. Yeah. That's going to create even more know, like, and trust factor around you, credibility, and
yes.
And definitely, yeah.
So funny.
Absolutely. Yeah. See, everything is holding like every single piece is holding the other pieces as well. Everything is interconnected anyway. Yes. And it's our role as strategists also to see the potential, like, let's say, the opportunities as well. We have this, let's say, all of these items, this puzzle and all this architecture, and we need, sometimes it just happen on its own, that you realize that something can be leveraged for something else, but sometimes it doesn't come. You have to look at the whole picture. That's why it's so important to have an overview. Look at the whole picture and say, oh, actually, I could leverage this for this other thing that is completely maybe on the other side of the architecture, but actually, it could become relevant for,
and that's so good, because I think when we pursue what we want to do, if we ignore what you just said, if we don't really look at, oh, this is happening, oh, that's happening, and it could be just a seed, right? A seed that if you don't give it attention because you're so focused on the money part that's working, right? And look at the seeds that are happening, that you're like, oh, wait a minute, that's interesting, and that's interesting. Why is that happening? The universe is going to do something for you, and you need to be aware, right, of getting out of yourself and being aware of what's happening around you, that you can take advantage of.
Yeah. And actually, to be honest, be organized as well. Like, what I do for myself and for every client that I have is that we really have a personal PR plan in which we, on just one sheet, we can really see everything, what is going on in their own channels, third-party channels, and relationships, which is basically like the triad, let's say, that produces omnipresence, like omnipresence in the way that I mean it. Because for marketers, omnipresence is basically being on every social media platform. For me, this is just one of the 3 dimensions, so to say, of omnipresence. And I really want to have all of the 3 dimensions of omnipresence on a piece of paper, like on a sheet, because then this is how you really have the overview, and you can see the potential, the synergies, between certain items. Maybe that it can be in 2 completely dimensions, but then you realize, oh my God, actually I can leverage this for this, and I can leverage this other thing for this other thing. Absolutely. Yeah.
I love that. That's so wise.
Organizations, overviews, and spreadsheets, and so on.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Ed, unfortunately, we are approaching the end of our conversation for today. But what is, I'm going to ask you the question that I ask everybody. So you've got this question before from me, because you've been here on the show many times. But Ed, what is something that I haven't asked you over the past 60 minutes, but I should have asked you?
Ask me if there's, I've been so focused on my passion, the things I do, and blah, blah, blah. Is there anything outside of what we've talked about that you haven't mentioned that really isn't aligned with your passion?
Okay. So Ed, is there anything, we've talked about many things over the past hour, but is there anything that we should talk about that you haven't, that is, what you say is not aligned with your passion? Right?
Yes.
Okay. Not aligned with your passion, because over the past 60 minutes, we've been talking about a lot of things that are aligned with your passion.
So that's a very good question. But why are you doing whatever it is you're doing that's not in line with what you're doing? And the reason why I brought that up is because if you look at it, it doesn't look like it's aligned with anything I'm doing. But the reality is, it is.
Right.
That's why I asked it. And I think more people need to do this, because we need to find out who we are, what we're comfortable with, and not worry about what people are thinking. So everything we've done here on this interview and this conversation has been me saying things that I know would be in line with what we're doing. I'm not going to, you can't talk about everything, but I, like most people, part of our journey involves figuring out who we are and not worrying about what other people think. I mean, when I was a corporate guy, I certainly didn't have long hair like this. And so that's been, and I just enjoy it. My mother doesn't like it. I enjoy it. That's one thing. But on social media, there's something I've always wanted to do because it just looks like fun, but it would take a lot of guts to do it. And I'm still overcoming fears of what people will think. If you take a look at it, you might not think so, but I am, and I'm really enjoying it. And that is on TikTok. So a lot of some of the TikTok videos that I make, I put on my Facebook Reels. And so there's a lot there, but I don't put everything there. And there's some pretty, like, I look at that and I go, what if anybody saw this? Like, that's my students, or like, they're like, so much for being a professional. But I love going on there and just doing whatever the hell I want that gives me joy and makes me laugh. And I'm not worried about, is it growing? What do people think? How many? Yeah. So, I mean, I'm connected with you on TikTok, that you have your cats on there and everything is so lovely. I love it. Right? That you're doing the same thing. You're enjoying that platform by just doing what makes you feel good. And I'm doing the same thing. And I would never tell potential students, hey, look at my TikTok channel and you really get to see how good I am at video marketing. That's not going to happen. But I'm not worried about anybody seeing it because it's what I love to do, and it's a lot of fun. And we need to enjoy ourselves and do things outside of what makes us money. What is our business path and strategy? And if there's something, just go and enjoy your life and have fun. And it may not be TikTok; it could be anything that has nothing to do with computers, for sure. So, yeah.
Completely different as well. Oh my God, Ed, this has been amazing as usual. Please tell us that you will come back to the show.
Oh my goodness, are you kidding me? I would love to. And please tell me you'll come on my podcast as well.
I'd love to as well. Oh my God, this is such an honor to be invited to a podcast called Visible Kindness. Can you believe it?
Yeah, it'd be so great.
Oh, thank you. Oh my God. And I will be sure as soon as the episode is out, and I will be sure to share it here with our community as well, the personal PR.
Awesome. It'll be great. It'll be great. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's high production. Love it. I didn't know it was high production, but people tell me, oh, that's a high production. I'm like, oh, excellent.
Wow, not like the personal PR show, which is just on Zoom. But anyway, we are launching YouTube very soon as well. So we've got all
Jessica, it is your impact, it is you, it is your skill, it is the way you deliver, it's your influence, it's that it's not, high quality. I've had high quality before and no impact. I've been through that phase because people are not impressed with high impact. Oh, that looks really good. And then they watch it or listen to it and they're like, oh, that's not very good. Right. We need to find impact and influence and making a difference in the world. And it's not with a fancy,
Exactly.
Not fancy.
Right. We talk about impact, actually we should define impact, and we've established during this conversation that when it comes to podcasting especially, but in many different areas as well, impact is not financial impact. Impact is really the difference you can make in people's lives, and it's something that you can make with kindness, deeds of kindness acts every single day. And it's something that you can do through a podcast as well, by sharing your stories, sharing stories of your guests that really make us think, and then really make us maybe want to make a difference, want to make a change in our lives or in somebody else's life. And it's like we talked about, it's really the ripple effect that is created through all of this inspiration. And this is just from a podcast, right? This is crazy, the impact that you can make in these terms. Yeah, I love that. Thanks so much for making an impact in so many lives all over the world.
Well, thank you. And you too. It's been wonderful being a part of your group. And some over the course of the last few months, I haven't been very involved because it's been wild west for me when it comes to Jessica. And that's another thing too, is you need to stay focused on what is the priority at the time, and then come back to groups and come back to relationships and whatnot. And that's important too. And I know you realize that. And so I really appreciate the fact that even over the times I'm not there, I still check in and I see what's going on, and I'm there. So I really appreciate that.
And we're always so happy to see your likes, your comments, and so on. It's great to see that you're still with us, although you're not like with us every single day on lives and so on, challenges and so on. We still know that you're here with us, and Martina knows as well, and she's going to be on your podcast soon as well. Right?
I love your cat. I love your cats. See, I got one down. You see my cat down here, right?
Yeah.
Got one up there.
Yes, exactly. So you've got two as well, like me. Perfect.
Yes.
Yeah.
I miss cats.
I know. I would miss them as well if I didn't have them, certainly. Maybe you'll get yourself 2 cats in 2000.
I might.
Something to share about on your TikTok.
I know, because what I'm thinking about doing now is I'm thinking about using those guys in my TikToks because I don't have cats. And I think that would be funny too, because like, I put them in the camera and make them look like they're real.
Come on, maybe for one reel, why not? You're the expert at that video production. Very creative too.
Thank you again, Jessica. Thank you so much.
Yes, and guys, thank you so much for joining us today. And I'll see you next week for another episode of the Personal PR Show. Bye, guys, and bye, Ed. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.